I know that a lot of you want to build a personal brand. Maybe you want to get more leads and sales, that way you can grow your business, or maybe you just want to create content about something that you're passionate about, a hobby or a skill that you have, and monetize it with products that you believe in, or creating your own digital products, or getting those juicy sponsorships and brand deals that so many creators talk about. Whatever your reason, you're here because you want to start a personal brand and you want to get it right from the beginning. Maybe you are afraid to start because you don't know what to do, or you don't want to put yourself out there. You're afraid of showing your face and making a fool of yourself. So today I'm going to give you a simple formula to grow your personal brand on TikTok, and just to make it easier for you to get started and know that you're actually going to get results. And there's a few things I want to talk about in this video. The first one is, why TikTok? I'm here talking to you on YouTube after all, so why is it that TikTok is the platform that I recommend for starting a personal brand from scratch? After that, I want to walk you through the 5 steps to developing your personal brand. And then finally, I want to make you aware of the most common mistakes people make that destroy their ability to grow their brand. That way you can avoid them and actually have success and build an audience. The first step to building your personal brand is determining what platform you are going to create content on. What is going to be the hub that starts everything? I'm going to recommend that you start with TikTok, and I want to explain why, because you might be thinking to yourself, well, okay, what about YouTube or Twitter or Instagram? There are a couple of reasons that I like TikTok better than these other platforms when you're just starting building your personal brand. The first one is that it is the easiest to get started on and grow your audience quickly. And this is something that you really can't say for YouTube and Instagram, which are notoriously hard to grow on. Even for somebody like me that was able to grow from 0 to over 15,000 subscribers in about 5 months here on YouTube, like that was exceedingly fast growth, and I don't think that that's common. In fact, YouTube actually says that it takes people an average of 5 years of posting once per week in order to get to their first 10,000 followers. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait for 5 years to get 10,000 followers. I want to start building my audience now so I can start making money from it and leverage the power of a personal brand, which is actually why I started with TikTok and not YouTube, even though I knew I wanted to create YouTube content as well. Instagram, on the other hand, is notoriously hard to grow on, and that's because it's not exactly a growth and exposure platform. In fact, in the social media marketing online business world that I live in, Instagram is considered more of a conversion platform, which means it's a place for people to get to know you a little bit better and to help turn them into clients. So when we talk about the role of these two platforms and how you use them in an online business or as part of your personal brand, IG and TikTok have very different roles. So TikTok is where you establish who you are and what you're known for and how you help people and attract all of the right people and get them into your world. Instagram, on the other hand, is how they get to know you a little bit more personally. So when I think about the role of Instagram in the personal brand, I look at it as almost like your resume. Like when people go to check you out on Instagram, you need to have a certain aesthetic and you need to have a couple of like key posts that look pretty and kind of demonstrate your expertise. But the main role of it is to use the stories and to share the behind the scenes and let them get to know you a little bit more. But with the rise of stories on TikTok and how much traffic that is starting to generate for people, you can actually get that all in one with that app. And when it comes to YouTube, I love this platform. If I'm being honest, YouTube is my favorite platform. It's just not the most friendly for when you're first starting because it's a slow grow. And the reason that it's one of my favorite platforms is because it's long form in nature. So you are able to go into much more depth about your skill or your expertise or whatever it is that you are building your brand around, and people can sit there and watch you for a long time. And it's true when people say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's even more true that a video is worth 10,000 words or a lot of pictures. I don't know the math there. I'm kidding. A video is worth 100 pictures. My point is that when people watch your face and watch you talk for a long period of time, it builds a lot of trust, and that makes them want to follow you and consume more of your content and eventually buy from you. So I love that about YouTube. But when you're starting out and you have no audience, I like the exposure that TikTok gives you quickly a lot more. And TikTok, once again, in its effort to take over the world, is incorporating a lot more long-form content. A few months ago, they announced Creativity Program Beta, which is kind of their answer to the YouTube ad revenue sharing. And it means that you can get paid based on the number of views your videos get as long as they're over a minute long. And just yesterday, I got a notification from TikTok saying that if I created horizontal long-form video and posted it to TikTok, they were actually going to push it and give us a bunch of extra free views. And I know that might seem weird, and in practice, it actually kind of did the first time I saw it, because here I am scrolling on my phone and then I see this horizontal video that doesn't fit the screen, but there's a little button below it says, you know, press this for full screen, and then it all rotates to get you looking looking at it horizontally, because if you're doing that, it blocks everything out. You're not scrolling, and now you're staying on the platform longer. And the goal of every social media platform is for your content to get people to stay on the platform longer. That's why watch time equals views when you're on TikTok or just about anything else. And so my point of all this is that TikTok is incorporating the best of what YouTube and IG has to offer, but they're offering it and packaging it in a way that allows you to grow your personal brand faster. So it is a no-brainer to me. And real quick, before we move on and talk about the steps to building your brand, I want to talk about how do you incorporate YouTube or Instagram if you decide to go all in on TikTok. So what you're actually going to do is you are going to connect either YouTube or Instagram to your profile. So that way when people discover your TikTok content, then they're going to be able to see that social connected on your profile, and they can jump through and either binge all of that longer form content that you have on YouTube, or go connect with you and see kind of behind the scenes, get to know you a little more as a person, and watch your stories on Instagram. My recommendation is that you only pick one. And if you notice on my profile, I have linked my YouTube, but I have not linked Instagram because I'm not a big Instagram user. And that's not me hating on Instagram. It just goes to my last piece of advice for you around this, which is you need to become a master of one platform before you branch out to other platforms. And I might eventually incorporate Instagram, but I want to make sure that I have it figured out with YouTube and TikTok before I add anything else to my plate. Because the more channels you add, the harder life becomes. Master one thing at a time. So now that we have that out of the way, I want to talk about the 5 essential steps to developing your personal brand on TikTok. And the first one is that you have to decide who you are before you ever start posting. And that all starts with asking yourself the question, like, what do I want to be known for? And you do want to be known for something, because being a generalist is one of the hardest ways to grow on any social media platform, especially TikTok. In order to win big with the algorithm and get the views and get the followers and drive traffic to your offers, the algorithm has to know who to show your content to. And later in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the content flywheel and how you can kind of create this system that leverages the algorithm to really push your videos to more and more people so that it just snowballs. And it all starts with figuring out what it is that you want to be known for. And this is your chance to start over and to determine who you want to be and change the narrative in your life. And you don't get to do this very often because you have a lifetime with friends and family and the things that you've done where they have a perception of you. But when you are starting on social media and you're building your brand, no one knows you yet. So take advantage of this, control the narrative, and decide who is it that you want to be. Let me give you an example. When I started on TikTok and then especially on YouTube, I didn't 100% know what I wanted my content to be about yet. But the one thing I did know is that I didn't want to be the Facebook ads guy. You see, I've spent the last decade of my online business career helping online coaches to scale their brands and get more clients using Facebook ads. And I'm not afraid to say that I'm pretty dang good at that, and I've helped a lot of brands scale to 7 figures a year. But I also know that in order to be successful with my agency and to help my clients be successful and grow their businesses, that I've developed a lot of skills that have absolutely nothing to do with Facebook ads. And if I'm being honest with myself about what it is that I really enjoy and that I think I'm best at and want to be known for, it has a lot more to do with growing your audience and figuring out the marketing and the strategies around turning that audience into buyers to grow your business. I love that stuff. And when it comes to Facebook ads, that's just traffic, and anything can be traffic. TikTok is traffic. YouTube is traffic. Paid ads are traffic. There's so many ways to generate traffic to all the back-end stuff that I love. So when I started building my brand, I was intentional to not talk about Facebook ads. I started talking about building courses and coaching programs, about growing your audience on TikTok, sharing my journey as I'm growing on YouTube from a completely new YouTuber. I'm deciding what I want my brand to be about, and you can do the same thing. The second step to building a personal brand is knowing who your content is for. Content needs to be for a very specific person if you want it to be successful. And that's true no matter how you plan to monetize your content in the future. If you want to sell a service or a digital product, then you need to understand who your ideal client is and create content for that person. And if you want to build a massive brand and make all of your money from ad revenue and brand deals, then you need to understand who your ideal viewer is that you're trying to attract. So I want you to take some time to sit down and just think about that. Who is my content for? How am I helping them? What is the value that they are getting out of the content that I'm creating? And then once you start posting videos, I want you to pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the comments of every video that you post. Because the comments on your videos are a great way to measure whether you're on track with your content and whether you're attracting the right people. And just pay attention to a couple of things. Like, one, are the people that are commenting on your videos the right people? Are they your ideal client or viewer that you had in mind? Are they the type of people that you want to have in the community that you are building building with your brand? And then are they asking the types of questions that your ideal viewer, your ideal client would be asking? Because that's really important if you want to monetize this down the road. And if you're not seeing the right people in your content, it's okay. It just means that you need to adjust. And this video is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and like pull back the curtain and show you behind the scenes a little bit and like part of the reasoning behind this video. I mostly work with coaches and digital product creators that are trying to grow their brand and grow their audience so they can drive more traffic to their offers. I don't work with faceless content creators. And so while I do want to put content out that just helps everybody that is trying to grow on TikTok, because I know that there's not a lot of great content on that topic on YouTube, what I really want to do is help my digital product creators, help my coaches that are trying to figure this out. That way they don't take as long to figure it out as I did. I want to take this decade of knowledge that I have in this industry and distill it down and make it simple and actionable so that way they can take my free videos and get massive results and build their business. So when I was thinking about the type of content that I needed to create to attract and help more of the people that I wanted to create content for, I immediately thought of personal branding. I wanted to do something specifically for the people that wanted to show their face on camera and wanted to grow their audience. That way they could grow their business. So get clear about what you want to be known for and who your content's for. And then we got to figure out how to make you stand out. But before we do that, let's fix this lighting situation. I lost my sunlight, so that'll have to do. But let's get back to step 3 of building your personal brand, which is how are you different? What is going to make you stand out in a sea of all the other people that are talking about your topic? How do you stand out when your competitors are big names and you're a no-name? And the answer is really, it's there in personal branding. You have to make it personal. You have to share your unique personality and your quirks and the things that make you different from everybody else, and just do you. And part of that is sharing your unique story and your journey along the way, because your stories matter to the other people. That is what helps them connect with you, and because they see themselves in you. And so when you tell the story, or when I tell the story about growing my business or the things that I struggled with, or how I built my business as a stay-at-home dad, or leaving my legal career to pursue business, like how I made that jump, when I shared those things, they may not be relevant to everybody. They might be interesting to a lot of people, but there are going to be some people that really connect with that experience, and that's how you build a connection with your audience. And that's kind of why, like right now where I had the lighting situation, I just rolled with it and made it part of the content. I knew that it was going to stand out as soon as I turned the lights on. I knew it wasn't a perfect situation, but I'm just kind of sharing the journey, and I'm just not afraid to put that out there, and that's probably going to make me different from other creators, which is great. So as you're building your brand, think about the hurdles that you've overcome. Think about the transformations that you've accomplished, and share those things in your content. And as you're building your brand, be self-aware. Understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, and lean into your strengths and lean into the things that you enjoy. For example, I have a wonderful editor named Hudson. He's probably going to chime in here somewhere.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come.
And one of the things that I love about working with Hudson is that he can inject so much humor into these videos. And I kind of give him free reign to just like insert whatever jokes or whatever it is that he wants to do. Because I know that even though I have a pretty good sense of humor, like, you know, when I'm with family and friends and stuff like that, if I'm intentionally trying to be funny in my content, it's going to fall flat. I am more of a teacher, and so I lean into that. I try to give you guys as much detail as possible. I try to give you simple, actionable steps to accomplish the results that you want, because I know those are my strengths and that's the best content I create. And then I lean on Hudson to come in here and edit it and polish it up and make it look better and inject a little bit of humor with the GIFs and the movie clips and all of the fun stuff that we do in these videos. And so if you can just recognize those things in yourself and kind of lean into your strengths and the things that you enjoy and get help from other people to kind of fill in the gaps, then it's going to be much easier to create content, and you're actually going to see your content grow at a much faster rate. Another way that you can be different is by just giving it all away. I think we all get so intimidated by the big names in our space and how much success they have, and we don't see how we're ever going to catch up or how we're ever going to get there. And what we fail to realize is that the bar to success in the online social media world is actually very low, because there's not a lot of people that are being authentic, and there's not a lot of people that are giving like true value in their content, whether that's entertainment or it's education. They're just holding back for whatever reason, especially in the education space. And so I know for me, when I've been trying to learn YouTube or especially TikTok, that there was just a lot of fluff out there, and I appreciate the detail. I want to be able to watch that video and feel satisfied at the end that like I was able to take notes. I was able to get like real juicy information about this that I can take in action and turn into momentum for myself. And so I know that if I feel that way, that there are other people that feel that way too. And so I've tried to bring that in my content. And so think about, what is it that you like about your favorite creators? What is it that they bring to the table that other people don't? And try to bring that yourself, or bring the thing that you think is missing and no one else is doing. Because if you think it's missing, other people do too. And then when they discover you, it'll just be this breath of fresh air, and they're going to become just massive fans from day one. And this kind of naturally leads into step 4, which is once you've figured all this out, you need to start educating. You need to start creating content. And I think that this is where imposter syndrome strikes, and most people just come to a screeching halt because they're worried about the judgment of other people, and they're worried about whether they are qualified enough to actually create the content that they want to create. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You don't need to be the top expert in your field in order to create content on the internet and build an audience for yourself. In fact, I would argue that most of the people that have like the biggest followings in a particular field might not even be the like most knowledgeable people in that field. All you really need is to be a couple of steps ahead of the person that you're creating the content for to help them get from where they are to where you are. And I want to illustrate this with an example that I heard recently, and I wish I knew where I heard it so I could give credit to that person, but I'm sorry, it didn't come from me, it came from somebody else, but it's too good to not share with you. Let's say that you want to learn how to play golf. You've never golfed before. You're a 0 on the scale, and Tiger Woods is a 10. And I don't know who the big, popular golf person is today because I just don't really watch a lot of golf. So we're going to stick with Tiger Woods. So if you're a 0 on the golf course and you want to be able to go on a trip with your buddies and not embarrass yourself and have a good time and, become like, let's say, a 2 or a 3 on the scale. You might think to yourself, I'm going to go get golf lessons. I'm going to learn how to drive. I'm going to work on my short game, all of the things. When you're looking for your golf instructor, you are not looking to hire Tiger Woods. You can't afford to hire Tiger Woods if he's even offering that. And the reality is you don't need a 10 in order to go from a 0 to a 2 or a 0 to a 3. What you really need is somebody that's a 4 or a 5. Because if you can find somebody that's a 3, a 4, or a 5, they can get you from 0 to 2. Because they have figured out a lot of the things that you don't know. And they can teach you the basics and the big rocks that are going to help you go from 0 to 2. And so it's the same thing with your content. You do not need to be a 10 in order to be qualified to create content. You just need to be a 3 or a 4 in order to help those 0s, 1s, and 2s. And here's another secret for you. If you post content and somebody complains about your qualifications to create that content, all of the platforms, YouTube, TikTok, all of it, have this great button where you can hide that person from your channel. You can literally block them so that their comment goes away and they never see your stuff again. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Just get rid of the negativity and keep doing you and keep helping people. And when you're creating and you're educating people with your content, you don't have to come from the position of being the expert either. A lot of people have built massive followings just by sharing their journey, and you've probably seen those creators before. And so when you're thinking about educating and sharing the content, you really have 2 approaches you can take. You can take the expert, here, let me show you, let me share my skills and expertise. Or you can bring people along on the journey, and you can use the curious student model where you're figuring things out and you're just telling people about the successes and failures along the way. And if you pay attention on this channel, I actually use both. When it comes to creating content around digital products or TikTok growth, like I'm coming from the expert stance because I've been there, done that, had the success, helped a lot of other people do those things too, and now I'm passing along all of that knowledge to y'all. But I'm also creating videos about how I'm growing on YouTube and sharing that journey from 0 to the, I think, almost 17,000 followers that I'm at right now. And I'm doing that because it's interesting to me, and that's interesting to the people that I want to be following on my channel, and because I've learned a lot and I've grown pretty fast. And I realize that there's probably a lot of little things that I've figured out going from 0 to 17,000 subscribers on YouTube in the last 5 months. And on top of that, I'm able to layer all of my social media knowledge from my 10 years plus in the online business world. So I'm creating these videos and I'm just like, hey, here's what I've learned. I hope this helps you so you can grow as fast as I've grown. And that's the curious student model. So the point being, whatever level you're at, if you have a passion around that content, if you're thinking about doing this and building the brand and you know what it is that you want to build the brand around, there's a way for you to do it no matter what your experience level is, and you should do it. And if you're new, it's okay, because you actually have an advantage over those big names, those big brands. Because you're new, you're just starting, you're living in the muck, trying to figure it out, solving problems, getting results. And those big brands that established themselves 5 years ago, they've forgotten some of that stuff, or they've figured out their system. And so they're not experimenting and figuring out the little tricks that are working today like you have. And so there's a lot of value that you can bring to the table that the big name can't. You just have to share it. Moving on to step 5 of building a personal brand, you need to know your metrics. And early on when you first start posting, there's only one metric that matters, and that's, did I show up today? Did I publish a piece of content? Because a lot of people, they get tied up in the views and they start freaking out because I'm stuck in 200 view jail. This isn't working. All these people are having success, and they're doing the comparison thing, and they're stressing about the numbers. And the numbers, the views, those are vanity metrics that don't really matter right now. All that matters is that you develop the habit of creating and publishing the content consistently. That way you can grow. So don't get tied up in the views. Focus on showing up and creating content consistently. And this is especially the case on TikTok, because TikTok has said in their big document of all things, how the algorithm works, that they actually reward creators that show up and post every single day for long periods of time without ever missing a day by adding weight to their content, which is just like a fancy way of saying that when you post every single day for long enough, TikTok says, you're an awesome creator. We trust you, and we're going to push your video to more people. We're going to show it to more people and give you more views than the other person that's inconsistent and doesn't show up and use our platform every single day. So the only thing that you're really using your views for and paying attention to is to figure out what worked to guide your content decisions and ideas for your future videos. You shouldn't get too wrapped up in,
a video had 200 or 300 views and it had, a 60% watch time and it was really good quality and I thought it was great. It should have gotten pushed and it didn't. And why did this happen?
Like, man, people say that to me all the time in the comments. That doesn't matter. All that matters is, this video got 1,000 views, even though I normally get 200 to 300. What did I do right in that video? And what did I do right in this video that got 800 views? Because there's something to those videos. And if I do more about those topics or those ideas or answering those questions that those videos answered, or in those formats or those hooks or the length of that content, if I can start figuring out the things I did right in that, then I will get more views. And that's how you improve your content. It's not just studying the views, it's also studying by looking at the analytics, which videos got you more followers, because sometimes the videos with smaller views will actually lead to more followers because they're more helpful to the right type of person. The other metrics that I really care about and pay attention to is which pieces of content get the most comments and the most saves. Because I know that if somebody is saving my video, it means that they are very interested in that topic and they likely want to come back and watch it again, or they're saving it for a time where they can sit down and give it their full attention and watch the whole way through, maybe even take notes on it. And I love when people are commenting on my videos because that helps me understand better what I need to create, and it gives you free content ideas. Because if somebody asks you a question in the comments of your TikTok video, then you can actually create a reply video that will get posted and get pushed, and those videos do very, very well because they get shown to everybody that watched the original video, and based on their performance can get pushed even further. So I want to be creating content that gets comments and saves more than I want to be creating content that gets big views. Now, there are other metrics that are very important, but these are the ones that I would be focusing on if I was just starting out. So at this point, you know the 5 steps to develop your personal brand, but what you don't know are the things that people screw up like really commonly. And so I want to share those with you so you can avoid them and grow faster by stumbling less. So the first mistake that I want you to avoid is not creating the content that you want to create, that you feel in your heart, in your inner thoughts, that this is what you should be doing. Don't let a coach or a mentor guide you to something that you don't want to do. You need to claim who you are and make that decision for yourself. Because if you don't create the thing that you feel like your personal brand should be about, then you will never fall in love with it. And you'll never have that passion that it takes to stick with it day to day and post and grow to the level that you need to through the hard stuff, like me sitting here in the dark trying to record this video because I need to record it. So who cares what other people think? Don't let anyone else tell you whether you're qualified to make that piece of content or whether it's a good topic to be posting on. You know best. It is your personal brand. You are the person. You get to decide. So make the decision and claim what you want, and let this be the motivation to do that, and not let anybody else hold you back from doing the thing that you want to do. Now, the second mistake you can make, and this is one of the biggest ones you can make, is blaming the algorithm for your low views. All the algorithm does is push videos that people really enjoy watching and watch for a long time to more people. And so if people are swiping past your video, or they're not watching it for very long, then your videos are going to get stuck at 200. Or maybe they'll do a little bit better and they'll get to 500 or 1,000, but then the views will stop happening. And that's because the algorithm is determined that, like, at this point, at this checkpoint, you didn't get enough view time. Your video wasn't good enough objectively for us to push it further because people aren't watching it. And so your information might be really good and the quality of your videos might be really good, but that doesn't mean that you've figured out how to get somebody to stop swiping. It doesn't mean that you figured out how to convey your message well. Like, you have to figure out and learn these things, and you learn them through practice. So don't blame the algorithm if you're getting low views. Just take that as feedback and learn from it so you can create better content and you can reach your goals. And the other thing to keep in mind, and this goes back to the first point, is that, like, you should 100% pursue what it is that you want to pursue, but you have to understand that there are some types of content that are not interesting to a large enough group of people to go mega viral. And that's okay. If you're into something that's, like, very niche, you can still create, like, a small community around it. You just might not be able to grow as fast or be able to monetize it to a full-time living or to the extent that other niches would be able to. The third mistake to avoid is trying to do or be an expert on too many things at once. You just can't be an expert at everything at once. Like, I have a lot of expertise and a lot of skills, but I have to be careful about which ones I choose to share and talk about inside of my content if I want my content to do well. And the reason for that is because the algorithm has to understand who your content is for so it can show it to the right people, and they will watch a lot of it, and therefore you get pushed and you get the big watch time that leads to the big views. And so if you're talking about all of the things, it might be great content, but not everybody the video is shown to is, that's interested in thing one is going to be interested in thing two, and then the algorithm doesn't know what to do and your views suffer. And so you need to be consistent with the topic that you talk about. That way the algorithm can categorize you and you can do well. And I always think about this as like the content flywheel, and I don't have like a fancy graphic to do this, but basically it starts with knowing who your ideal viewer is here at the top. And when you know that, you're able to create relevant content for those viewers. And when you're creating relevant content for those viewers, then the algorithm is able to categorize you. It understands what that content is about and who it is for. And so then it's able to show that content and push traffic and views back, that's this part, the traffic here, push that back to that ideal viewer. And now you've got this flywheel. And if you don't know what a flywheel is, it's like a thing where it starts spinning and it spins faster and the momentum creates more and it snowballs. And so just think about that, right? If you know the ideal viewer, you're creating content for them, and then you get categorized for that type of content. And so they give views to that type of person. And now that person is watching a lot of it because it's relevant to them. Then you're going to get pushed to more and more and more. And so if you're being consistent and you're doing all of those things and you still feel like you aren't getting traction, you aren't getting the views, then consider going one step broader. And one of the best ways that I've heard this described is that in order to kind of be a player in the social media world and to get the views and to grow the audience, you have to be teaching the beginner 101 level class on the topic of your expertise. And so if you're like really into the advanced stuff and you're trying to teach all the automations and the funnels and things, like I love that stuff, like that's great for certain people, but the bigger group of people, they're just trying to figure out like, what should my content be about and how do I post and how often do I post and all of those things. So you need to speak to that beginner 101 level. And so if you're feeling like, hey, I have my niche and I'm creating great content, but it's not getting traction, go a little bit broader and you'll start to see those views jump. Now, this might feel like a lot and maybe you need to go back and watch the video again and take notes or whatever it is that you need to do. But the good news is that you don't have to have it all figured out today. You just have to start posting. You have to start sharing your expertise with your content. You will get clarity over time on like the direction that you're trying to go, and you'll be able to refine your message and the types of content that you create. You might even change your mind about the direction that you're going and need to change your content in that way, and that's okay too. The algorithm is flexible and it's really smart. So if you decide to change your content, then it's going to be able to figure out what that's about and categorize you to show it to the right people so you can get the views, just like it did when you first started creating content. So don't worry about making those changes or possibly possibly changing your mind in the future if you're not 100% sure now. But you have to get started. And in order to remove one more barrier that might be preventing you from starting to grow your personal brand on TikTok, I want to give you like a step-by-step blueprint for what you need to do to grow. So I want you to watch this video next so you can learn more about the TikTok algorithm and the types of content that you need to create in order to grow your personal brand and start making money on TikTok.